What is up? What is good? How you doing? How you been? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good myself. Can't complain too much. Everything's not perfect. New Mexico state line 44 miles. No, it's not 44 miles, that's minutes. Minutes to 44 minutes to the New Mexico state line. So it's probably like 50 miles. Well, we're almost through Arizona. Arizona has some really crappy roads. So what's going on with me? And then I want to talk about, like, I don't know how to word it, like the economy, the freight industry, like, um, what's going on with being an owner operator right now as far as revenue and expenses. So we'll talk about that. But real quick, let's just go over what's going on with me. So I'm in Arizona, 50 miles from the New Mexico border. I'm eastbound on I-40. It is 6:19 a.m. local time, Mountain Standard Time. I'm not sure when exactly I cross over into Central Time. I don't know if it's somewhere in New Mexico or if it is at the Texas border with New Mexico. I'm not sure. But at some point today, I will be going into Central Time Zone. But for now, it's 6:20 a.m. in Mountain Time Zone. Sun is just coming up. It's Saturday morning. What is the date? Today is March the 5th, I believe. I think it's March 5th. No, I think it's the 6th, actually. Yeah, I think it's Saturday, March 6th. I'm on my way. I picked this load up in Chino, California, and I'm taking it to Topeka, Kansas. I picked it up Friday at around 10 a.m., and it's scheduled to deliver Sunday between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. It's a drop and hook, so I'm just dropping the trailer off and leaving. It's gonna be cutting it really close. Like, I'm gonna be able to deliver it on time, but I'm running up against my 70-hour clock, and I'm not gonna have very much time left over after I make the delivery. So getting home after the delivery is gonna be an issue. I'm trying to shave off every second that I can to get there as soon as possible and have as much time left on my clock as possible so that I can go home without having to take a 34. I might be able to run on recaps on Monday, but I also might have to take a 34 to make it home. I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to have to do, but I am not going to know for sure until I get closer to Topeka. It's a 1,600-mile drive. There's a lot of things that can happen in that 1,600 miles. So I'm just going to wait until I get closer to do a more detailed trip plan to see how exactly I'm going to get home after this load. This would be a non-issue if USA Truck didn't have stupid rules on personal conveyance and yard move, but they have some idiotic, dumb ass rules on personal conveyance and yard move. If they want to restrict personal conveyance on their company trucks, so be it. But restricting personal conveyance to owner operators doesn't make any fucking sense at all. It just pisses me off. This is my truck. I pay for everything associated with it. I pay for the fuel, the wear and tear. USA Truck doesn't pay a penny to move this truck down the road. If I want to move this truck down the road, I shouldn't be limited by their dumbass company driver rules of personal conveyance. I hate that we run under the same rule set as the company drivers. It's fucking annoying. One of the reasons I'm looking forward to leaving USA Truck. Yard move is also ridiculously stupid. They have a 10-mile-per-hour speed limit on it. If you hit 11 miles per hour, it kicks you to the drive line. So to anybody who's just oblivious as to how things work, in order for you to avoid going to 11 miles per hour, you have to putt around at like 5 to 7 miles per hour. If you're driving around at 9 to 10 miles an hour trying to do the maximum speed that you can, then you are at extreme risk of hitting 11 miles per hour, because at low speeds, these trucks have a tremendous amount of torque in the low speeds and the low gears, and the throttle is incredibly responsive. So if you go over a tiny little bump in the yard, um, your foot bounces on the pedal just a little bit, you can easily jump up by 2 to 3 miles per hour in a second. So in order to keep that from happening, you have to putt around at like 5 to 7 miles per hour, or you run the risk of getting kicked onto the drive line, which could interrupt your 30. It could cause an hours of service violation, or whatever your situation is with your hours of service and whatever impact hitting the drive line would cause you. It's just dumbass rules. Um, they have the ability to program that kind of stupid shit into the ELD. So some dumbass in safety did it. Like they had the option, so they used it. Just because the option exists doesn't mean you have to fucking use it. It's just stupid. But anyway, enough ranting about that. Once I do eventually make it home, which if I could use personal conveyance, I could just drive from Topeka to my house on personal conveyance, no issue at all. I can drive from Florida to my house. There's no limit on mileage or there's no limit at all on personal conveyance, except that it cannot be used in furtherance of a load. So you can drive all around the country on personal conveyance if you're not trying to go pick up a load or deliver a load or reposition yourself to get into a better market or something like that. Anything involving furtherance of a load, even repositioning to get into a better market, is not personal conveyance. That has to be logged normal hours. But if you want to go to your house, or you want to go to Disneyland or something like that, and you're not trying to reposition for a load or move a load, personal conveyance. So anyway, once I eventually make it home, I have a ton of crap I need to do. Hopefully the onboarding at Landstar continues. Hopefully they don't come back and say, we just don't think you're Landstar material. It's not guaranteed that Landstar is going to want to do business with me. They may not want to partner up with me for whatever reason. But I'm still in the qualification phase with them. They sent me an email a few days ago telling me that they haven't forgotten about me. They're still checking on shit. If everything keeps going as planned with Landstar, then once I get home, I'm going to do a drug test for Landstar. I'm going to do a vehicle inspection for Landstar. Then I'm going to drive down to Fort Worth in my personal vehicle for a couple of days to do orientation with Landstar. Then I'm going to drive back up to my house in Oklahoma City, and I'll have to install the ELD in my truck and sticker my truck, and I might put it into the shop and have somebody else put all the stickers and shit on. I don't know if I want to mess with that shit. And then I need to do taxes. I need to do some, normal maintenance around the house. I need to, of course, prep the truck to go back out on the road, which is basically take everything out of here, clean it, restock the truck, and put everything back in. What else? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of crap I need to do at home. I'm hoping that I'm going to be home for 3 weeks. No more, no less. I would like to be home for exactly 3 weeks, but we'll see what ends up happening on how long I end up being home. But I'm going to be doing a ton of crap. The thing I'm looking forward to the least is taxes. I still have a bunch of crap with my taxes that I need to get figured out. I have to go probably sit down with my accountant and do a whole bunch of crap, and she's going to want to charge me a ridiculous amount of fees. She wants to charge something crazy like $500 to $700 just to file my taxes. I don't know if I'm going to use her again next year. I'm probably going to switch over to like ATBS or some shit like that. Um, she charges way too much for what she offers. She's not really helping me with deductions. She's leaving that all to me. She hasn't really like helped me at all with deductions. She's just providing a bookkeeping and a tax filing service with no real guidance on anything. So that's kind of the same bullshit that ATBS offers, except ATBS has a lot more features. You know, they have an application that you can use to upload shit. It's a lot easier to do stuff with them. You get better reporting back from them. And it's a lot less made up on the spot bullshit. Like some of the fees that she charges, she makes up on the spot, and it really pisses me off because she'll tell me one thing, and then when it comes time to pay, it's like 3 times more. And I'm like, well, what you told me is going to be this much. And she's like, oh, well, how about I knock it down to this? And that kind of bullshit pisses me off because she tells me up front that she's going to be a lot cheaper than ATBS. And then when it comes time to pay, she wants more money than what ATBS would charge. So we'll see. I might, after I file taxes, I'm most likely going to stop doing business with her. But anyway, that's pretty much what's going on with me. Sorry, I got to thinking about my taxes and stuff. While I was talking about it, I got to thinking about things that I need to do with taxes. Like I still haven't figured out my per diem days. I need to charge uh, usage or rental for my house to the business. I don't know how much I'm going to charge the business for that. This guy is annoying. This pickup truck right here, he's passed me like 2 or 3 times. I don't know if he's pulling over or what the deal is, but now he's slowed way down. I don't know what the deal is with this guy. He's passed me multiple times. Now he's speeding up. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this pickup truck. He's annoying as hell. This is the first time I've passed him. He's been pulling over. He has to be leaving the interstate because I'm not passing him, and he's passed me at least 3 times. Once I pass him right here, he's probably going to speed up and go around me and pass me like a 4th time. He's probably making a phone call or something. Distracted drivers will do that crap. They'll just slow down, do whatever it is they're doing. Then once they finish what they're doing, then they'll speed back up. Yeah, just drifted on over there, buddy. So anyway, let's talk about the economy stuff. So what all is going on right now? Well, we have inflation because of how much money the government's dumping into the supply. We have a fiat currency, it's a faith-based currency. The value of the dollar is determined by supply, the amount of dollars in circulation, which affects interest rates and pairings with other currencies and all kinds of stuff. So we're dealing with huge inflation because of the just insane amounts of money the government is spending. The floodgates are open. They're just spending just crazy, crazy, crazy amounts of money and severely increasing the supply of currency. So inflation is a big thing that we're dealing with as drivers because inflation affects the price of everything. Everything goes up in price with inflation because everything's bought with dollars. Road work at mile 348, right lane closed, expect delays. Should be really close to going into New Mexico. What's another thing we're dealing with? The Wuhan virus. The Wuhan virus has caused a lot of businesses to close or to run in a limited capacity. And when a business closes, everybody loses their job. When they run at limited capacity, that could mean wage decreases. It could mean that they reduce staffing, they reduce hours. Maybe they keep everybody on, but everybody works reduced hours. Who knows how they're dealing with it? But in the end, it means less people working. These businesses that are either going out of business or working in a reduced capacity, they're not, purchasing any products at all if they're out of business. And if they're working at a reduced capacity, they're purchasing less products. So whenever companies are doing less business or no business, that affects the amount of freight that we're moving. Whenever people are unemployed or underemployed, they reduce the amount of products that they're purchasing, which reduces the freight that we move. So the Wuhan virus is having the impact of reduced freight. That's going to continue. We have been seeing surges and then dips, and the freight market's been kind of volatile. The freight market has been up quite a bit, but it's volatile. We just had a surge in the freight market, and I think that was mainly due to the storm, Uri or whatever it was called. That thing basically shut down the country for a week, and I think it caused a backlog of freight. We had a boom in freight in the second half of last year. I think that was also because of a backlog in freight. Whenever we had all these lockdowns happen, if you remember what happened whenever that took place, when the lockdown started happening, a lot of trucking companies started going out of business. Freight went to crap. There were people picketing and protesting and shutting down interstates about freight rates, as dollar a mile freight. They were demanding brokers show the rate cons. All kinds of stuff was happening. People have short memories. They don't remember this kind of stuff. But the freight market took a nosedive and just completely crapped out for a couple of months, 2 or 3 months, when the lockdowns were first implemented. Then things started normalizing a little bit, and I think what happened was people freaked out, companies freaked out, and they stopped buying shit. And they didn't really know what was going to happen, so they just started playing it safe and reducing expenses. Everybody started trying to reduce expenses and play it safe. And then after, 3 or 4 months, the demand for stuff had built up to such an incredible point that the floodgates just opened and people started buying. Companies were like, well, I can't sit here and do this forever, or I'm going to go out of business. So they just started buying crap and moving to online and doing delivery and all kinds of stuff like that. So then we had a tremendous demand, and we just had a whole bunch of trucking companies go out of business. So we had a reduction in the number of trucks on the road, and then a huge spike in demand, and it made freight rates just phenomenal. Well, I think we hit like some all-time highs in the freight market in the second half of last year. Then it slowed down in January. Then we had Winter Storm Uri. It didn't get bad in January. It just slowed down a little bit. It just wasn't like phenomenal record-breaking prices, but it was still pretty good in January. Then we had the Winter Storm Uri thing happen, and that caused a huge slowdown in freight because of trucks just parked on the side of the road because of interstates being shut down. And then after the storm, then we had a surge in freight, a surge in rates. The rates got really good again, and now they're starting to taper off. So here my big fear with that. Way station closed. My big fear with what's been going on in freight is that at some point we're going to normalize and we're going to get over all of this built up demand and all this surge that happened. And I think the freight rates are going to plummet. Because in general, people are spending less. We're moving less goods. But because of people putting off purchases for the Wuhan virus and all these lockdowns and restrictions and everything, or because of people trying to buy up crap in anticipation of supply chain disruptions, there's a whole bunch of things happening on the freight market. Because of all this stuff, we've been seeing an amazing freight market for a while now. since probably June of 2020, the freight market has been pretty awesome. I think this guy's going to take this exit. He just tapped his brakes to turn his cruise off. I'm going to go ahead and grab the left lane. He's probably seeing how full that weigh station is and deciding not to pull in. I don't know what the deal is with this pickup truck. I'm going to go ahead and speed up and pass these two guys because this pickup is just hanging out behind this big truck. We're going up a really slight grade, so I'm having issue building up speed. But I'm going to go ahead and get up to 75 and get around these two guys. So we're in New Mexico, I think. I didn't get a pop-up from Google telling me that I was in New Mexico, though. No, we're still in Arizona. Was that an Arizona or a New Mexico weigh station? Must have been an Arizona weigh station. It seems like sometimes the weigh stations are across the border in the other state. Like, that's what it sometimes seems like. I'm hoping New Mexico has better roads than Arizona. Arizona roads suck. I can't remember what it was like driving across from the other direction. So what else is affecting us? Well, one of the biggest things impacting us is fuel cost. And fuel is impacted by a lot of things. Oil is a speculative futures market. Oil is usually purchased on futures contracts 6 months to a year in advance. So the price that we pay for oil today is based off of what they're buying those contracts at, and they're buying those contracts at what they think is going to be the price 6 months to a year from now. So whatever the current political or whatever situation is right now will affect futures prices. You know, if some politician says that they're going to do something to disrupt the supply of oil, those futures contracts will spike. It'll cause oil prices to go up even before it actually happens. So fuel, as soon as the election results came in, fuel started going up. The fuel prices are almost $1 a gallon higher than they were before the election. Diesel. And I'm basing that off of my discounted price. I don't pay attention to the pump price. I pay attention to the price that I pay. And my discount hasn't changed, but the price I pay has changed. And it's gone up by 87 cents a gallon as of like 2 weeks ago. And it's been going up 3 to 4 cents a gallon every week recently. So it's probably closer to $1 a gallon now. Other things that affect fuel prices are demand, refineries. So demand for fuel should be low because of all the lockdowns and all the restrictions on travel and, you know, stuff like that. Well, I don't know if there are travel restrictions, but there's restrictions on businesses and all kinds of things. There's not a whole lot that you can do outside now, but people are still traveling a lot. They're still using a lot of fuel. There's still a lot of people on the roads. So they're just going other places. The other thing affecting fuel prices, refineries. We had some refineries had to shut down for the winter storm Uri or whatever. So climate change. I don't like talking about belief systems on these videos because you can't have a rational conversation with somebody about a belief system. So politics, religion. Hold on just a second. I got to take my headset off, change to my sunglasses. All right, sunglasses engaged. Speed limits dropped down to 65. Now it's dropping down to 55. Going into construction. But yeah, climate change is a belief system. And it doesn't really matter which direction you believe the climate is going. You know, politicians are claiming that it's global warming, everything's getting hotter. NASA and university studies are showing that we're entering a cooling period. So it doesn't matter which direction you think it's going, hotter or colder, or what you feel is driving the climate, whether that be, you know, the sun and, our climate systems here on the planet, the natural systems that have been, driving climate change for billions of years, or, you think it's man-made, cow farts or whatever are driving the climate. It doesn't really matter what you believe is driving the climate or which direction you think it's going. Most people agree that the climate is changing. That's something that most of us can agree on. And climate change is affecting the economy, which is affecting the freight industry. This winter storm, like I said, it caused a supply disruption. It shut down a lot of freight lanes for about a week, and then it caused a surge in demand after those roads started reopening. It's affecting crops. We're having floods, we're having unusually cold climate, we're having unusually hot climate, we're having unusual climate, and it's affecting crop yields. It's affecting everything. So just something as simple as corn. Corn is a base commodity that's used in almost everything. It's used in ethanol. It's a feed for a lot of animals. High fructose corn syrup and other corn products are used in just about every type of food that we eat. And whenever the supply of corn goes down and it causes the price of it to go up, it affects the price of everything that uses that corn. So climate change is impacting us as drivers. So what does all of this mean? Climate change is affecting fuel prices with refinery shutdowns. Fuel prices are affecting us. Fuel prices are a double-edged sword. Fuel prices are one of our biggest expenses. So when the price of fuel goes up, it increases our expenses. Also, when the price of fuel goes up, it suppresses the economy because fuel is used in every part of our economy. So when the price of fuel goes up, it suppresses that economy. And if the economy gets suppressed, that reduces freight. So our cost to operate the vehicle goes up and the amount of freight goes down. And when the supply of freight goes down, the rates go down. If fuel stays where it's at right now and rates go down or even stay the same, we're going to see companies go out of business. The more rates go down, the more companies we're going to see go out of business. The higher fuel goes up, the more companies we're going to see going out of business. If rates go down and fuel prices go up significantly, then we're going to see massive amounts of companies going out of business. And I'm talking about trucking companies, whether that be an owner-operator or a fleet of 1,000 trucks. We're going to see companies going out of business. So what am I going to do to prepare for this? What's my recommendation to other people? My recommendation is that I'm a hope for the best, plan for the worst kind of person. So my expectation on planning for the worst is that rates are going to go down and fuel prices are going to go up. The volume of freight is going to go down, rates are going to go down, and fuel prices are going to go up. Hoping for the best, I hope that, fuel goes down and the volume and rates of freight go up. I hope that happens. But I'm going to plan for fuel prices continuing to rise and rates going down and volume of freight going down. And how do you plan for that? Don't take on any unnecessary debt. That nice new car that you're thinking about buying that you don't really need, your current car is working perfectly fine. Don't buy that fucking car. Those chicken lights and all, the couple $1,000s you want to dump into the truck to make it look pretty, don't do that stuff. Of course, do your maintenance and repairs, and if things need to be done on the truck, go ahead and do that kind of stuff. But cut down on the extra shit that you don't need. And definitely try to avoid taking on additional debt. Buying a new house, buying a new car, buying a new truck when the one you have is still working great. You just would prefer to have the newer one. Try to keep your expenses as low as possible. Try to reduce expenses. If you have unnecessary expenses that you can get rid of them. Start saving up money. Build up your nest egg. And if you're like me and you take a lot of time off, maybe don't take as much time off. Maybe run a little bit harder right now while the rates are still good and fuel isn't like $5 a gallon, and try to, like, right now we can still make decent money. We can still make pretty damn good money in this moment. I know that there's a lot of people complaining about fuel prices and talking about how they're not making very much money right now. Anybody that's in that situation, I hate to say it, but you don't have a good business plan. If you're having a hard time making money right now with current fuel prices and with current rates, then you are one of the people that's going to go out of business in the near future if things stay the same or get a little bit worse. You have too many expenses, or your revenue is not high enough. One of those two things. So in my situation, I generally take a lot of time off. So I'm going to avoid taking on new debt. I'm going to try to limit expenses. And I'm going to try to run a little bit more than I normally run. That's what I'm going to do to plan for the worst. And then whenever, if, things go really bad, they tank. If I have a lot of money in the bank, then I'm not going to be forced to run on break-even rates. I can take time off. All right, I just crossed the border into New Mexico, and the roads are already better. Immediately better roads. So if rates get really bad, then I can take extra time off. I can also sit around and be really picky on loads. Just wait for really good loads that are actually profitable, and avoid running those break-even loads or loads where you're like paying people to move shit for them. It gives me more options. Whereas if I don't have money set aside, or if my expenses are really high, or if my revenue is not very good, I might be forced to just run whatever in the hell's out there, the really shitty rates where I'm making, company driver money at the end of the day. I'm able to pay all my bills, but what I'm making after all my expenses is like $800 a week. I don't want to run at that kind of, money. But when fuel prices get high and rates get low, there are going to be a lot of owner operators that are out there making like $500, $800 a week profit after all expenses, because they're forced to run because their expenses are so high, or they don't have money saved up and they're just living paycheck to paycheck. There's lots of reasons why people are going to be in that situation. It happens every damn time we have a slowdown. There are a lot of people who base their business on surge pricing. And that's the reason I said a minute ago that if you're struggling right now, you have a bad business plan. Because for the last 6-8 months, we've been dealing with near record high rates. Like, the amount of money that you can make in these trucks for a long time now, the last 6-8 months, has been crazy. It's been like the most money ever. And fuel prices are nowhere near the highest they've ever been. Fuel prices have been at really, really low levels up until the last 2 or 3 months. So if you're struggling right now, it's because you created a business plan based on all-time high freight rates and really low fuel prices. that's what we've been dealing with from like June until December of 2020. It was like the best time ever to be an owner operator. Was for about 6 months. The second half of 2020, you had cheap fuel and all-time high rates. Absolutely amazing time to be an owner operator. And if you built a business plan that requires all-time high rates and really low fuel prices for you to stay in business, you're not going to stay in business for very long, because all-time high rates and low fuel prices aren't going to last forever. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to warn people that the potential exists. I don't know the future. I don't know what's going to happen. But based on what I know, I think there's a very high probability that fuel prices are going to continue to climb and rates are going to go down. Right now, fuel prices are about normal. This is like, fuel prices were absurdly cheap last year. Now they've gotten back up to about normal. We haven't gotten up to the crazy fuel prices of $4 and $5 a gallon like we hit back in the early 2000s, around 2004, 2005, 2006, somewhere in that area. We're not near those levels. This guy sped up. I was just about to get out and go around this guy, and he's speed matching me now. I cannot stand when people do this shit. They don't want to be passed. So they pull this crap. Now he's slowing back down. He did start to pull away from me. Not only did he speed match me, he actually started pulling away from me. But now he's slowed back down. I can't stand jackasses that do this shit. Give me a second to make it around this guy, and then we'll continue talking. He looks like he's about 20 years old. But I've seen all ages, ethnicities, everything you could imagine. Races, doing stupid shit. There's no like specific sex, gender, whatever you want to say. There's no specific gender, race, or cultural background that drives like a dumbass. Dumbasses come in all shapes and sizes. So anyway, yeah, this is just my thoughts on what I think is going to happen, the direction I think things are going. And I hope, like I said, I'm a hope for the best, plan for the worst kind of person. I hope that things continue to be amazing, because I have so much crap I want to do. I really want to just rake in the money at Landstar And after about a year at Landstar, hopefully I have enough money that I can put a crap ton down on a brand new truck. And I just want to be in a position where I can buy a new truck anytime I want and be able to pay a lot of it down and have a really small truck payment. And hopefully get some pretty damn good trade in on this thing. Trade in along with a big down payment. Holy crap, I got a bypass. I didn't even know that was possible with USA Truck. Our CSA score just gets worse by the minute. Maybe it's closed. Maybe that's the reason I got the bypass. Let's see what this flashing sign says. I see a bunch of trucks pulling in. Mask required in New Mexico. Wash hands 20 seconds, soap and water, and then there was some phone number. Yeah, it looks like they're open. They're running people through. Man, I got a bypass. Holy crap. That's nice. That is nice. Yes, it's good. Sorry. Give me a minute. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So yeah, uh, be careful out there, and try to plan ahead for bad times. That's what the message I'm trying to convey here is try to plan ahead and try to be in a good position when everybody else is scurrying, when everybody else is running around scared. They don't know what in the hell to do. They feel like this snuck up on them, and there's a lot of people that are owner operators out here that don't really pay attention to stuff. They just live, like I said, paycheck to paycheck, week to week. They don't really know what in the hell's going on, and these things can sneak up on them. They have like only a couple of $1,000s in the bank, so they don't have much of any nest egg at all. Because a lot of these owner operators, they came from nothing. These are people that grew up poor. They don't really understand money. And then they got a job as a company driver. That's probably the best money they've ever made in their lives. And when I say that they don't understand money, I mean, these are people that have the idea that if you have like $100 in your checking account, you're doing really good. So they become a company driver, and now all of a sudden they have like $500 in their checking account, maybe $1,000 in their checking account. Oh my goodness, man. They're living like kings. They think they're doing really, really well. Then they sign up to become an owner operator. They become a business owner. And they still have that same mentality. And, you know, they still think that $1,000 in the bank is good money. And as a business owner, with the level of expenses that we have in these trucks and the level of potential expenses that we can have, you need a lot of money in the bank. Shit. Holy damn. What the hell? They didn't have a fucking exit only sign on that shit? That was fucked up. I thought we gained a new lane. That lane was not blocked. They didn't have an exit only. They didn't have any kind of sign up for that shit. It just fucking exited. Way to go, New Mexico. I got over as soon as I saw the solid line showing that it was an exit lane. But a lot of people, like I said, they live paycheck to paycheck. They operate their business the same way that it's the only thing that they know. It's like, I don't know of any other way to put it. And if rates plummet, or if fuel prices go up, or if both happen at the same time, then those are the type of people that are going to go out of business first. Those are the ones that they don't have much of any money in the bank, only $1,000 or $2,000, and give you an idea of how much fuel costs. Right now, fuel's gone up by almost $1 a gallon. What does that mean? How do you quantify that? If you're getting 7 miles per gallon, which is probably about what I average in this truck, if you're getting 7 miles per gallon, then what is $1 a gallon fuel? It is a little over 14 cents per mile. It's 14.2 something cents per mile. So we're just going to use 14 cents per mile. What does 14 cents a mile mean? Well, if you're running 1,000 miles, that's $140. 2,000 miles, $280. 3,000 miles, what is that? $420, $280, $380. Yeah, $420. If you're running 4,000 miles, what is that, $560? Pretty sure it's $560. And some of you are probably sitting there thinking, 4,000 miles in a week. No, I don't do that. I do like 2,000, 2,500 miles a week. We're not talking about your paid miles or your loaded miles. We're talking about all miles on the truck. And if you're getting paid for 2,500 miles, you're probably putting 3,200 miles on the truck. Maybe more, maybe less. Depends on how many deadhead miles you got. It depends on how accurate the mileage is on the loaded mile. You know, you can get a load that says that it's 1,500 loaded miles, but it actually is 1,700 miles to get there. A lot of these places will do zip code to zip code, or all kinds. Maybe they'll pick a route that you don't want to take, or that trucks can't take, to calculate the mileage. For whatever reason, your actual miles are typically much higher than your paid miles. And if you're doing like 3,000, 3,200 paid miles in a week, you are probably hitting 4,000 miles actual on the week. So 4,000 miles is not very far out of the realm of possibility to run in a week. 3,000 miles, much more realistic. I would say the majority of people who run decently are putting 3,000 miles a week on their truck. Actual miles, loaded, empty. and real miles, odometer miles. 3,000 miles a week easily if you're, running any kind of decent runs. You'd have to be sitting around a lot to run less than that. So at 3,000 miles a week, let's calculate that up. So what is that? That's $420 extra in fuel you're spending per week. There's not exactly 4 weeks in every month, but we're going to use a 4-week month. So on a 4-week month, 420 times 4 is 1,680. Is that correct? $1,680. Let's round it up to 1,700. $1,700 a month extra in fuel right now. That's what we're dealing with. $1,700 a month extra in fuel. These dumbasses merging on like 15, 20 under the speed limit. You do not have the right of way, jackass. You can't just force me out of the lane like that. So if you're an owner operator that is only making after expenses $1,500 a week, then that's an entire week's pay that's just gone. $1,700. An entire week of pay just disappeared on your ass because of the increased fuel prices over the last 3 to 4 months. Another way to look at it, $1,700, that is somewhere in the area of probably a $2,500 to $2,800 load. So like a $2,500 or $2,800, we'll say $2,700. A $2,700 load plus fuel surcharge, the amount of money you make after the percentage cuts and everything is probably going to be somewhere around $1,700. Ballpark. I'm just like shooting that off the cuff. I'm not like trying to do any math in my head to do that. I'm just like shooting that off the top of my head. So that's like a $2,700 load a month that you're doing for free. So you find some nice $2,700 load. That load is just going to the extra fuel costs. That's at $1 a gallon increase. And we are nowhere near all-time highs in fuel prices. I don't know exactly. I can't remember how high they got 15 years ago when I was driving, but that was when they hit all-time highs. But I remember how much of a pain in the ass it was. I was a company driver back then, and they would have me do like 50 gallons here, 50 gallons there. I was just constantly fueling up with 50 gallon, just 50-gallon fuel purchases all over the place. And then when I'd finally make it over somewhere with cheap fuel prices, they would have me top off. It was really frustrating to have to fuel so often. At least once a day I was fueling, sometimes twice a day. It was crazy. It was a huge waste of my time. But that's when fuel prices got crazy. I think that's also around the time that they created fuel surcharge. It was created to help with increases in fuel prices. And now companies have found ways to manipulate fuel surcharge with things like breakthrough fuel to avoid paying it. So it's not having the intended effect it was supposed to have. It was supposed to stabilize income, the rates that you're making on loads. It was supposed to stabilize them whenever fuel prices shot up. But it's not really doing that. I'm not seeing a big increase in fuel surcharge. The fuel surcharge at USA Truck hasn't changed in the last 3 to 4 months. It's nearly identical. It's still just some cheap bullshit. It's going to be nice when the sun gets a little higher up in the air. This guy sped up. By the time I finally get around him, I'm going to need to get back out in the lane to pass these other two guys. I can't even read the digital display. I'm having to look at the analog speedometer, which I don't like. I don't like the analog speedometer. It's hard to tell exactly how fast you're going with that thing. But I better wrap up this video pretty soon. It's already getting really long. I think the key takeaway I'm trying to get across here is keep your expenses low, build a nest egg, and try to make as much money as possible when the money is good, and prepare for the times when money is bad. Give me a few minutes to think if there's anything else I want to say before I start the upload. I can't think of anything. Oh, one other tip. Credit. Credit can really help. I don't have a ton of credit. I have 3 fuel cards. The one with USA Truck is kind of credit. It's a post-pay card. My other 2 fuel cards are post-pay as well. I have like around a $2,500 line of credit on each of them. I think one of them might be $2,700 or $3,000. All right, I'm going to speed up and get around FedEx. I don't like riding nut to butt like this. Can't see shit around him. So I'm going to speed up to 75 and get around him pretty quick. This FedEx is moving. He's going like 70, 71, somewhere in that area. I got my cruise set at 72, and I was barely catching up with him. But aside from that, I have a credit card that I've never used that has like a $7,500 limit. I keep getting offers for business credit cards for like $300,000 credit cards. saying that I've been pre-approved for like a $300,000 line of credit on a credit card and stuff like that. You know, I used to get credit card offers for $5,000 all the time. And then after I started up my business, I started getting a lot of business offers, HR companies and shit like that. And the credit card offers went from $5,000 to $300,000 pre-approvals. I have not tried to get one of those $300,000 cards. I don't think I would have the business income to get that kind of credit limit, because I really don't make a whole lot of money as an owner operator. Gross. I don't have very high expenses, so my gross isn't very high. Like, a lot of people need to make $250,000 a year gross in order to make $80,000 a year profit. Me, I don't need to make anywhere near 250 to have $80,000 a year profit. I could probably make $80,000 a year on 110 or $120,000 a year gross, because my expenses are just really low. So yeah, my gross revenue for the business is not very high. And with all the write-offs I had, my profit that I'm showing, my taxable income, is probably only going to be like $15,000, about 15 grand on the year. As far as my owner operator income, I'm going to have company driver income and other income besides that, but all that stuff should be break even. I shouldn't have to pay any additional taxes on those. I've already prepaid taxes on that stuff. So as far as what I made as an owner operator, I think my accountant told me that I've made my taxable income was about $23,000, but I have several $1,000s in write-offs that are not applied to that yet. That's part of the crap I have to do with my taxes when I'm at home, is get those additional write-offs. But yeah, I'm trying to get my taxable income as low as possible to reduce this huge check that I'm going to have to give the IRS. I think the biggest check I've ever wrote the IRS was like $9,000. And it was a year that I filed tax exempt. Because I didn't want to prepay taxes. And the IRS told me, you're supposed to prepay taxes. You're not supposed to wait until after the fact to pay taxes. You're supposed to pay them throughout the year. And my company told me that if I wanted to file tax exempt for the next year, that I would have to show them paperwork proving I was tax exempt. I was like, motherfuckers, I just want to use the money throughout the year and pay at the end of the year. But yeah, I had to write the IRS a $9,000 check. Those bastards. I hope I'm not going to have to write anywhere close to a $9,000 check for them this time. It should be fairly small. The amount, well, small is a relative term. It should be less than $5,000 that I have to pay the IRS. I'm hoping it's less than $5,000. It should be less than $5,000. We'll see. Yeah, I think I can get my taxable income down to around $15,000 to $17,000. Passing lane and 750 feet. That jackass, the kid that I passed earlier that speed matched me whenever I got close to him and then slowed back down and then I passed him. Well, after I passed him, he started speed matching me. And he's been basically riding my ass ever since I passed him. And unfortunately, it doesn't appear that he's heavy. I was hoping he would be really heavy, and I'd be able to pull away from him on this little hill and every other subsequent hill. But it looks like he's empty. He's actually trying to pass me right now. I've dropped down to 65 going up this hill. I've only got 8,800 pounds. I can't stand it when people try to convoy with me. I don't like people around me. So I don't like it when people speed match me in front or behind. It doesn't matter. I don't want people near me. And this guy is just basically trying to speed match me and hang out with me and follow me around. I don't want him near me. All right, I've said it multiple times. I'm going to wrap up this video. So let's just go ahead and end it. Otherwise, I'm going to keep finding things to ramble about. Good luck out there. I wish everyone the absolute best. If you have listened to the whole video, then awesome. My last piece of advice, new owner operators, if you are becoming an owner operator right now, realize that we are still at really high freight prices. Like the rates are still pretty damn high right now. So we're in a good rate market. It's not an all-time high market anymore, but we're still in a really good freight market right now. And the fuel prices are not that high. So make sure that whenever you're putting together your business plan to see if you're going to be a profitable business, that you realize that this is not likely going to stay this way. I mean, it's likely going to get worse than this. Fuel prices are going to be higher, rates are going to be lower. Hopefully, they're not going to be too terribly bad. But don't create a business plan based on right now, because things are not normal right now. Good luck out there. Have fun. And if I get bored, I might make another video today. We'll see. Bye.